A couple troubleshooting things to go over. We've seen the CCL have issues recording during the iPlunger's travel. It's caused by a couple different things. First and foremost, it could be in the RS-232 connection. So something that we try to make sure of is that the plunger isn't, sitting at an angle up against something like this, where those pins could wiggle loose or not have a good connection. We try to download the data or reset them when they're up like this, or if you're going to have them down on their side, make sure nothing is pressing up against the canister. Also, make sure that you're plugging your extenders in adequately. Sometimes we've had issues where people think they're plugged in, but they're not quite pressing firmly enough in. One other troubleshooting technique, if the tubing collar locator is not working, is to plug your battery in for 30-40 minutes and do sequential or random swiping with your collar locator with a crescent wrench and power cycling through it. So you plug it in, swipe it, download it, and check to make sure that the signals are coming over. If they're not, keep repeating that procedure 5-6 times, and we've seen a lot of plungers come back and start working again. So in this part of the video, we're going to go through a couple do's and don'ts. Big ones are you don't want to twist any of the connectors or batteries inside. You want to just drop them straight on. If you do, you will shear off the internal pins inside of here, the gold pins, and the unit is likely broken. So something else that you don't want to do is take your battery or your RS-232 connector crossover and plug them in and then take them out before you've downloaded or wiped the data. Doing this will likely cause the tool to lose its memory, and it's lost. You can't get it back. Another thing, if your battery comes disconnected from the tool during its run, during the survey downhole, this could cause the collar locator not to work. We've seen pressure and temperature come back and find its way and record properly, but the collar locator is not able to. So if that does happen, you'll likely have to make another run to get more data and start over. Other troubleshooting things are on the software side. Sometimes we've seen some people's computers not be adequate with the USB terminal type. This goes back to a driver issue, and we can help you troubleshoot that. One other thing to note is when the battery starts to die on the instrumented plunger as it's running, the board will not receive adequate voltage, and this can cause the unit to write what we would call junk data. So something to know is if you get it back and your data looks really dirty or bad or off scale, that's likely the cause of the issue. If your iPlunger's pressure looks like it is incorrect, either it's reading something very high like 10,000 psi or even 800 psi while it's out of a well, that could mean the pressure transducer is blown. We have a couple things to spot check that, and they're in some of the videos that come later on. If you're downloading the cigar gauge data and pulling it up in the plot program and the data looks wrong, what happens is sometimes when the battery is dying and there's not an adequate voltage being supplied to the board in the unit, the unit will continue to try to write an accurate pressure file, but it will not write it correctly. So essentially it will write junk data that you're going to have to be able to cut off and know that that's when the battery started to power down.